Election night is brought to you by Left or Right. Coming in today's election night, there are 8 Republican governors and 6 Democrat governors with a ton of governor seats up for grabs, and that is what this election night is all about. We have polls closing right now in the states of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Vermont, and we already have a few projections. In the state of South Carolina, Henry McMaster has held on to Joe Cunningham, who was a very tough challenger for him, but he has held on. And in the state of Vermont, Phil Scott has easily won re-election, the very popular Republican governor in the state of Vermont. Florida is too close to call. Ron DeSantis has a lead over Charlie Crist with 16% of the vote in, but it is still called too close to call at this hour. And in the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp has a lead over Stacey Abrams, a very anticipated rematch from 2018. We will see how this election goes throughout the night. The polls are closing in the state of Ohio, and we have a call right now. Jim Renacci has a 9-point lead over Nan Whaley, but with 12% in, this race is too close to call. If you didn't know, Jim Renacci defeated Mike DeWine, the incumbent in the Republican primary. But in Georgia, with 41% in, it is still too close to call, but Stacey Abrams has the lead over Brian Kemp. We will see if she can hang on. In Florida, Ron DeSantis' lead has gained with 48% in, but at this hour, it is still too close to call. Polls are about to close in the state of Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Michigan, Tennessee, Alabama, Illinois, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas right now. In Alabama, Kay Ivey has held on to her race. She has held on and she will stay the Republican governor in the state of Alabama. In Connecticut, Ned Lamont has held on to the seat. He will stay governor of Connecticut. Didn't really have that tough of a challenger, but Janet Mills in the state of Maine has held on against challenger Paul LePage, the former governor, and she has defeated him by a lot, surprisingly. Maryland has flipped to the Democrat side. Tom Perez has flipped his seat after Larry Hogan could not run again because of term limits. Tom Perez is the next governor. In Massachusetts, Maura Healey has won and flipped the seat because Charlie Baker did not run in this election. In New Hampshire, Chris Sununu has held on after he announced he will run for re-election as governor instead of running for United States Senator. In Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt has held on against his challenger, which wasn't that tough of a challenger to begin with, but Kevin Stitt has held on. In Rhode Island, Dan McKee has held on after a tough primary challenge against a ton of different Democrats, but he has still run. The incumbent governor has won. Controversial Governor Kristi Noem has won in the state of South Dakota, defeating her Democrat challenger, which wasn't that shocking to begin with. And Tennessee still has Bill Lee as their governor after they tried to get a Democrat opponent that could be strong enough to defeat him, but it did not work out. Illinois is too close to call. J.B. Pritzker has a tough challenger in Adam Kinzinger. 17% of the vote is in, and Pritzker is up by about 2 points. In the state of Kansas, it is extremely close as of now with 13% in. Laura Kelly is trying to fight off Attorney General Derek Schmidt, but we do not project it to stay this way for much longer. In the state of Michigan, with 24% of the vote in, it is still too close to call. Gretchen Whitmer has a decent lead over challenger John James, who is very popular in the state of Michigan, but let's see if he can defeat Whitmer. But in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, with 7% of the vote in, is ahead of Lou Barletta. This will be one of the closest rates of the night, so stay tuned for that. In Texas, with 12% of the vote in, Greg Abbott is doing very well over Beto O'Rourke. Will Beto finally get his first win? Who knows? We have an update from Florida. It is still too close to call with 67% of the vote in, but it is looking very promising for Ron DeSantis over Charlie Crist. In the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp has taken the lead again over Stacey Abrams with 62% of the vote in. It is still too close to call. And in Ohio, Jim Renacci has a really good lead with 37% of the vote in, but we can still project it as too close to call at this hour. Polls are about to close in the state of Arkansas, and we have a projection out of that state right now. Former White House press secretary and the daughter of former Governor Mike Huckabee, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, has won and will be the next governor of Arkansas. In Florida, Ron DeSantis has held on against Charlie Crist. This is a huge win for Republicans, as Ron DeSantis is one of the Republicans' top leaders as of now. In Ohio, Jim Renacci will become the next governor of Ohio, defeating Nan Whaley pretty convincingly in Ohio. In Georgia, it is still too close to call with 86% of the vote in, but Stacey Abrams has retaken the lead over Brian Kemp. In Illinois, J.B. Pritzker has gotten a lot more votes compared to Adam Kinzinger with 34% of the vote in, still too close to call. In Kansas, same thing happened with Derek Schmidt, 38% of the vote in. He has a great lead over Laura Kelly, but it is still way too close to call. In Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer is now behind John James with 47% of the vote in, but it is still too close to call. In the state of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro still has a lead over Lou Barletta with 38% of the vote in, and that is the update as of now. Polls are about to close in the states of New York, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, and we have a few projections from those states right now. In the state of Colorado, Jared Polis has won and has held on to the seat for the Democrats. He has stayed the governor of Colorado. In Minnesota, same thing with Tim Walz. He has held on to this seat and will stay governor of Minnesota. And Nebraska has their new governor in Charles Herbster. Trump-endorsed candidate will replace Pete Ricketts at the end of his term. In the state of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham has won re-election pretty convincingly, even though it was considered to be a very close race. In New York, Kathy Hochul will win after a very tough Democrat primary process, which saw her defeating Tom Suozzi. In Wyoming, Mark Gordon has won re-election in a state that basically nobody truly cares about. Let's be real here. In the state of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker has defeated Adam Kinzinger and will stay the governor of Illinois. But we have shocking news. In Kansas, Derek Schmidt has flipped that seat away from Laura Kelly and the Democrats, and they have their new governor in Attorney General Derek Schmidt. In Arizona, it is too close to call at this hour. Carrie Lake has a lead over Katie Hobbs by just a little bit, and we will see how this turns out throughout the night. In the state of Wisconsin, it is too close to call with 19% in. Tony Evers is leading over Rebecca Kleefisch, but this one will also be very competitive. In the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp still has a good lead over Stacey Abrams. With 95% of the vote in, we might be able to make a call on this race pretty soon. In the state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer has taken back the lead over John James with 72% of the vote in, and it is looking pretty well for Gretchen Whitmer. In Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro is beating Lou Barletta by the same vote difference with 62% in. It is still too close to call. And in Texas, Greg Abbott is looking very good over Beto O'Rourke with 69% in. It is still too close to call. Polls are about to close in 4 states across the country, including Iowa, Idaho, Nevada, and Oregon, and we have projections on those states right now. In Iowa, Kim Reynolds has won re-election and she will stay the governor of Iowa for another term. And in Idaho, Janice McEachin, who defeated incumbent Brad Little in the Republican primaries, will be the next governor of Idaho. Oregon has picked its replacement for Kate Brown and Tina Kotek to be the next governor of their state. We have breaking news out of Georgia. Brian Kemp has defeated Stacey Abrams and he will stay the governor of Georgia for another term. And in Texas, Greg Abbott has fought off Beto O'Rourke and he will stay the governor of Texas for his 3rd term. Nevada is classified as too close to call. This will probably be one of the most competitive races of the night with only 19% of the vote in. Joe Lombardo has a lead over incumbent Steve Sisolak. Michigan is still too close to call with 93% in. We are getting close to a point where we can declare Gretchen Whitmer as the winner. And in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro is looking very good right now with 88% of the vote in, but it is still classified as too close to call. In Arizona, Carrie Lake has fallen behind to Katie Hobbs with 37% of the vote in. It is still very close, which is why we classified it as too close to call. And in Wisconsin, Rebecca Kleefisch has taken the lead over Tony Evers with 42% of the vote in, but it is still too close to call. Polls are closing in the state of California, and we have a projection from that race right now. Gavin Newsom has won re-election for his 3rd election as California governor, believe it or not, because of that recall election. In Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer has won and defeated John James, making her the governor of Michigan for a 2nd term. And Pennsylvania has now picked its new governor in Josh Shapiro. He will be the new governor for the next 4 years, and he will be succeeding Tom Wolf at the end of his term. Arizona is still too close to call with 54% in. Katie Hobbs has 52% of the vote, and Kari Lake has 48% of the vote. And in Wisconsin, Rebecca Kleefish's lead has gained over Tony Evers with 74% of the vote in, but it is still too close to call. In the state of Nevada, Joe Lombardo is defeating Steve Sisolak as of right now with 50.6% of the vote with 39% in. It is still too close to call. Polls are closing in the states of Alaska and Hawaii, and we have projections from those states as we speak. Former mayor of Honolulu, Kirk Caldwell, will be the next governor of Hawaii, replacing David Ige. And in Alaska, Mike Dunleavy has fought off Bill Walker, and he will serve another term as the governor of Alaska. Katie Hobbs is doing really well in Arizona with 78% of the vote in, but we still classify it as too close to call. In Wisconsin, Rebecca Kleefish's lead has slimmed out a little bit with 91% of the vote in, but it is still looking good for her. And in Nevada, the lead between Steve Sisolak and Joe Lombardo is very slim. 50% of the vote goes to Sisolak, 50% to Lombardo, 61% of the vote is in. It is still too close to call. As you can see on this map, Republicans have 26 governorships, Democrats have 21, and there are still 3 races that are still too close to call, but we can call a race right now. In Arizona, Katie Hobbs has defeated Kari Lake, and this is a Democrat flip. She will be the next governor of Arizona, replacing Republican Doug Ducey. Wisconsin is still too close to call, but with 98% in, it is looking really good for Rebecca Kleefish over Tony Evers. And in Nevada, the race is still extremely close with 84% of the vote in. Joe Lombardo has taken the lead over Steve Sisolak though, but it is still too close to call. After calling Arizona, Democrats now have 22 governorships, but there are still 2 races that are too close to call. Not for much longer though, because in Wisconsin, Rebecca Kleefish has defeated Tony Evers and has flipped that seat away from the Democrats. She will be the next governor of Wisconsin. The lead between Steve Sisolak and Joe Lombardo is even slimmer, as Joe Lombardo has 50.1% of the vote with 94% of the vote in. It is still too close to call. With the call of Wisconsin, Republicans now have 27 governorships, and now let's look at an update from Nevada. 99% of the vote is in, and look at the difference between Joe Lombardo and Steve Sisolak. It is so extremely close, and now there's 100% of the vote in, and look at the difference. It looks like Joe Lombardo has won, and we could project him as the apparent winner in the state of Nevada. We do assume that Sisolak will press on legal charges because of how extremely close this race is, but as of right now, Joe Lombardo is the apparent winner in Nevada. This is what the final map looks like. We had a ton of Republican flips in the state of Wisconsin, Nevada, and Kansas, and we also had a good amount of Democrat flips in Arizona, Maryland, and Massachusetts. What an insane election night it has been. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And just like that, we are one video away from POLITIMAS ending. That is just crazy to say. Tomorrow will be the Senate election prediction. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of effort. I hope you do appreciate it. And please leave a like on the video. Share with as many people as you can. And then see you tomorrow for the final day of POLITIMAS. Thank you for watching.